Hello. Here is a little section from Swami Rama entitled "The Whole Process of Yoga is an Ascent into the Purity of Absolute Perfection, which is the original state of human beings." Long title, isn't it? It's out of the book Sadhana by our dear friend Swami Rama. Okay? Really good stuff in here, isn't there? The yoga tradition considers science and spirituality to be two parts of a complete whole, as they are both primarily experiences within the principle of intelligence. Here we are not talking of an intellectual inquiry or philosophical speculation, because these are founded on guesswork. Thousands of philosophers have already created many encyclopedic works based on such speculation without inner experience. Because they could not agree among themselves, their writings merely produce confusion and conflict among their readers and followers. Their language primarily relates to external realities and cannot convey the vastness of the dimension of intelligence that the founders of spirituality have experienced. While the founders of true spirituality agree on the nature of their inner experience, philosophers continue to disagree until eventually, in rare cases like Socrates and Kant, speculation gives way for transcendental silence to flow through. The same applies to the speculative theologian who ventures elaborate and complicated guesswork as to the true meaning of the words spoken by the founders of the spiritual traditions. Quite often, such guesswork has been falsely given the name of contemplation, without realizing that true contemplation is a silent experience. Excuse me. Neither the philosopher nor the theologian has any business pretending to proclaim a truth until he has come face to face with the deeper nature of intelligence, where consciousness goes far beyond the triangle of space, time, and causation. Those on the path of yoga are often mistaken as being in the same class as various religions, churches, sects, and cults, whose believers, not the ancient founders, are incapable of scientifically demonstrating the truth of their beliefs. Yoga is not part of any religion, nor is it merely a system of exercises to keep the body fit or to cure minor physical disorders. Yoga is a scientific approach to life that provides a discipline for the fullest development of the soul, mind, and body. Yoga teachings have been handed down in India through a living master-disciple tradition that has preserved the authenticity of the practices and ensured the survival of the yoga tradition, though at times it seems barely. Hello, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Nellie. The practices of yoga science help you to understand yourself. Only then can you understand your religion, the universe, and other beings. The whole process of yoga is an ascent into the purity of absolute perfection, which is the original state of human beings. And that is the title of this part here. Yoga deals with the experiential aspect of man's liberation from human imperfection and suffering, and is concerned with practical methods for attaining this state, using the philosophical doctrines of Samkhya as their basis. Samkhya philosophy supports the philosophy of yoga, samyak akyate, that which explains the whole. The Samkhya school of philosophy admits of two ultimate realities, Purusha or cosmic consciousness, and Prakriti or elemental matter. The manifest universe evolves out of Prakriti. The manifest universe evolves out of Prakriti. Prakriti is prior to what we know as manifest universe and matter in the conventional sense that we're familiar with. The manifest universe evolves out of Prakriti. It results from the coming together of Purusha and Prakriti, matter being permeated by consciousness. What is more, this scheme of evolution applies both to the macrocosm, the universe, and to the microcosm, a human being. Yoga bases its teachings on this scheme of evolution in the microcosm. It concerns itself with the practical aspects of involution, or the return from identification with the manifest body and mind to ultimate consciousness. Yoga teaches you how to be and gives something that religion does not provide. Yoga is an exact science that helps you to know yourself on all levels, body, breath, mind, and spirit. From your childhood onward, your education has led you to examine and verify things in the external world, which is constantly changing. Your education has not helped you to become aware that there is another reality within that never changes. You have to learn to accommodate and understand both realities and the whole structure of life, including the known and the unknown, the apparent and the real. In the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali emphasizes the importance of understanding life within, while not ignoring the external world. According to Patanjali, the prime goal of human life is to establish oneself in one's essential nature. Yes, you got it, Nelly. Yoga. Yoga science asserts that the human mind is not established in its true nature because it identifies with the objects of the external world. The purpose of yoga science is to lead you within to the highest state of tranquility, wisdom, and bliss, in which you remain fully conscious and aware of the reality. Yoga teaches you how to see within. If you remain an outsider, your mind will continue to be scattered, and you will not understand why you have come to this world, what the goal of life is, or how you should relate to others. You do not know yourself, yet you are trying to know others. In order to know and understand yourself on all dimensions, you will have to search within. Once you understand and know yourself, you will be able to analyze the entire universe and your relationship with the universe and with other beings. By analyzing a drop of water, you can know the ocean. By analyzing this human life, you can know the whole universe. The same self, capital S self, the same self that dwells within you dwells in everyone. That self is the center of consciousness. What we got there? Oh, we got a Ma tree saying hi. Hi, Ma. The term yoga is derived from the Sanskrit root yuj, to yoke or join. In yoga philosophy, yoga means to unite with the universal self. Your prime duty as a human being is to know yourself and then to know the self of all. For that, you will have to train yourself. Oh, my. That doesn't sound fun at all. Others can inspire and help you, but self-training requires effort. No matter how powerful are the instruments or other means that you have, those means cannot help you to know the reality within. Even the finest telescope through which you can see the stars and planets clearly cannot help you to know your internal states. You don't have to go anywhere to train yourself, because every walk of life presents an opportunity to learn. You don't need drugs, a guru, or any other external help, but you need guidance in how to practice and how to conduct your life so you can attain happiness in this lifetime, here and now. As a human being, you have all the knowledge within, but you have to make effort to come in touch with that knowledge. Human effort is called ascending power. When you have exhausted all effort and used all the resources you have, finally the power of the Lord will touch you. That is descending power or grace. You cannot get enlightened without grace. There are 4 types of grace: grace of God, grace of the scriptures, grace of a teacher who loves you selflessly, and grace of yourself. You have the first 3 graces, but you do not have your own grace. If you have the first 3 graces, but do not have your own grace, the others are of no use. To have your own grace means to remain constantly aware of the reality within, constantly. When you go within and come to understand the resources therein, many mysteries will reveal themselves to you. When you understand and rely on that which is within, nothing will be impossible. The absolute truth will radiate through you. Pretty cool, huh? Before you make any effort to go inward to the source of light, life, and wisdom, you have to have an understanding of the external world, and that is not so easy. It is difficult to collect accurate data from the ever-changing external world. In addition, the experiences gained through the senses cannot be considered valid because the senses are limited. Another obstacle is that the mind, which tends to be dissipated rather than one-pointed or concentrated, commits mistakes when it collects data. Therefore, it is essential that you first train your mind and senses. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras consist of 4 padas, literally feet. Here, sections or chapters. In Samadhi Pada, the first of the 4 padas, Patanjali has explained that the key point for first-class students is to have control over the mind and its modifications. You have to systematically understand mind and its modifications in order to recognize which of the various faculties and modifications of mind are untrained and thus not helpful to you. For example, whenever you want to do something, manas, the lower function of mind, questions, shall I do it or not? Buddhi is the higher faculty that tells you, if you do it, this will happen. If you don't do it, this will happen. If you do not train the buddhi, you will lack decisiveness, judgment, and discrimination. By having control over mind and its modifications, you can attain samadhi, union, a state of perfect equilibrium and tranquility. The second pada, sadhana pada, is the foundation of spiritual practice in yoga. Many methods are given in sadhana pada to help you practice and become free of all the kleshas, the afflictions, so that you can control your mind and modifications and realize the self, capital S self. This pada is for those who are not yet fully prepared. I want to know my mind. I understand that my mind and its modifications are not under my control, and so they create obstacles for me. I do not know my true nature or how to enlighten myself. Please introduce me to those gems of truth that will help me begin to practice. Such persons can also attain samadhi. Is the descent the suffering? Is the suffering a part of the process? Most people suffer, but we don't need to suffer. It should not be a journey of suffering. Many religious people say that suffering is good, and unfortunately some of the sects turn that around and say that causing physical pain to your body is a spiritual practice and pleases God. It's a misunderstanding of the principle. Suffering comes. Suffering comes. Why does suffering come? Because of raga and dvesha, because of attractions and aversions that are collectively called attachment. What's the solution to that? Work in the direction of vairagya, non-attachment. So suffering comes. It's built in. It's our reaction. Anyway. Hi, Scott. Patanjali begins the second pada with specific instructions. Now you have to be very practical. You have learned enough philosophy and you have been speculating too much. Now start to tread the path. Next, he explains various methods to tread the path and introduces the very preliminary, though also very important and practical aspects of yoga. Many of you will mistakenly think this chapter is not meant for you because of the word preliminary. Although you may think you already know many things, that kind of knowledge has very little to do with the real knowledge of something. And even though you say you know something, it doesn't necessarily mean you have assimilated it. For example, you know you should not tell lies, yet you continue to do so. The secret to knowing is this. To know something means just to know it, without creating any resistance. Your thoughts should go through the filtration of buddhi and other aspects of antakarana, your inner instrument, before you communicate with or talk to someone. And when you listen, just open your heart and listen so that you clearly understand what you are hearing. Learn to listen with your heart, not with your mind. Traditionally, the teacher of Yoga Sutras begins with the explanation of the first 4 aphorisms of the first pada, and then moves ahead to the second pada in order to explain how to do sadhana, spiritual practice. Initially, you might be hesitant to do sadhana because you are afraid it will be too difficult and you don't understand what it is. As a result, without having tried, you decide sadhana is not necessary for you and you don't want to do it. It's true that it's not easy to live in the world and do sadhana. You have many responsibilities with your family and career and cannot always do what you want, but still you have to try. It seems difficult only if you don't make any effort. All things become easy when you practice. Yeah, if you don't make any effort, it certainly does seem difficult, doesn't it? Practice is different from theory. If you do something again and again, you will find that your body and mind quickly adjust to it. When you start to practice, it is important not to impose extreme rules on yourself. Be patient and gentle with yourself. Don't become disappointed with yourself or say you cannot improve or tread the path of enlightenment. Never give up your practice. Practice is valid and will reveal to you all the mysteries hidden within. Then it will become easy for you to shape and guide your whole life toward your goal. Some people seemingly have come in touch all of a sudden with the higher potentials within, and a complete transformation of their whole personality has taken place. But in reality, this could happen only when a person is on the path. The process of self-transformation is a gradual process that cannot be completed overnight. Oh, darn, huh? On the way to Damascus, Paul came in touch with the higher potentials within. He was going to Damascus because he had not found satisfaction in what he was doing. After having searched everywhere, finally he chose to follow the path to Damascus. And on the way, self-realization dawned. Self-realization comes when you are fully prepared. Comes only when you are fully prepared. Never stop working with yourself. If you prepare and discipline yourself, you can definitely attain that which is deep within you. Even though the world has very little to offer in comparison to truth, still the world is very powerful. You are so attracted to the world and all its charms and temptations. Imagine how truth will attract you if you are on the path of truth. When you begin to search for truth and you practice, you will experience, and that experience will guide you. The path of spirituality is not devoid of pitfalls. It can lead you to an egotistical way of life if you misunderstand what it is. You may think to be spiritual means to withdraw yourself from your duties and responsibilities and become overly conceited. Spirituality is adhyatma, that which comes under the domain of the center of consciousness within. Actually, there is nothing to attain. Spirituality means to be constantly aware of the absolute reality. All sadhana is meant to purify the mind and make the mind one-pointed and inward so it can be directed toward the center of consciousness that dwells within the inner chamber of your being. Physical growth is in the hands of nature. Mental growth and spiritual growth are in your hands. The second chapter is completely devoted to sadhana and is replete with methods of practice to help you improve yourself by learning to control your mind and its modifications. Then you can attain a state of samadhi and realize the self within. I have found that without the knowledge of truth, there is some hunger in me to know and know and know. No matter how much I have known, I have not felt satisfied. The more I wanted to know, the more I studied. And the more I studied, the more unsatisfied I felt. This means I have still to know truth. The day I know truth, perhaps this hankering will subside. Okay, that's the end of that part. Probably do the next part a different day. The next part is on practice systematically, step by step, systematic practice. Wisdom from our friend Swami Rama. Quite a journey, isn't it? Quite a journey. There's Johnny. Hi, Johnny. You were late or didn't type anything, just sitting there quietly meditating on the sideline, huh? Okay, so we'll stop there. Thank you all for visiting. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is another beautiful day. Sometimes it seems not to be like that, doesn't it? But it's really all okay, isn't it? And please have a nice meditation. How do you do that? You find the silence that is here after the Om. And there is the self, looking outward through all of these levels, looking out at the world. And so Om leads me inward to the silence. And that's where I find Sat. Om Tat Sat. Om, that is reality. Okay. Thanks for playing. Got a card? Got a card with a hole in it? Anybody sees this and doesn't have a card, wants one, text me your postal mailing address and I'll mail you one. Okay. You can have your very own circle chart postcard with or without a hole punched in it. Or you just tell me if you want a hole punched, I can punch it, or you can have it without it. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. In honor of our friends, the Dutchies, Dewey Dewey, which I know actually means ultimately Om Tat Sat. Right, Mom? It's the ace in the hole. That's cute. That's a cute way of saying it. It's the ace in the hole. You betcha, Johnny. All righty. Bye-bye. I'm going to be on in a couple hours with a fellow named Charles Crenshaw. Really neat fellow. Long time student of Swami Rama. And he agreed to come online with me and have a little conversation. I'm looking forward to that. If you have a chance, see it. It will be live in a couple hours, but then it'll be archived. And anyway, he's a fun fellow. So, okie dokie. Have a card pretend the whole. I don't know what that means. There you go. Ma can have the last word. Om Tat Sat Dewey Dewey indeed. All righty. I'm going to push the button, Mom. There we go.